So, what is going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Generations Deluxe Class Minicon Assault Team. These guys came out in 2013, 2014, and they are intriguing, to say the least. Now, I say 2013 because if you look on the wing here, this man, I don't know if it was there, it is, it says 2013 Hasbro. But I think they came out in 2014. They were a later wave. Yeah, as far as it goes, these guys are pretty alright. They're pretty cool. You know? So there's three of them, varying from small, medium, and large, as you're looking at. This is Runway, this is Heavy Tread, and this is Wind Shear. And they're all different in their own way, and they're all kind of equally as bad their own way, but they're mini guys. I can't be mad. They're basically Legion guys. If you're wondering, here's Legion Class Prime. As you can see, yeah, they're practically just Legion guys, but a little bigger. But they have the same engineering as, say, a Legion class toy. That's what they have. Oh, there goes Runway. And, I mean, they're all pretty good. They all do have ports, so they can support your regular weapons. And we're going to bring back a past review guy for this as well, for when we get to the Eilt modes and stuff. We're going to bring back, obviously, Armada Starscream, because it only makes sense to bring him back since he has Minicom ports, which these are compatible with the old toys as well from Armada and Cybertron. They are compatible. So first we're going to take a look at the best one, which is Runway. He's easily the best one. Robot mode wise, I like the look of him. He does look really good. I like the legs, now they're kind of beefy, and then they kind of go thin up there. It looks pretty alright, you know? I mean, his arms, they don't really move. The articulation on these guys doesn't exist. It doesn't. Like, just to get out of the way, no head, obviously. Ball joint in the shoulder, that's it. Forward and back and a knee. That's all you're getting out of most of him. He doesn't have a knee, so we're not even going to bother going over articulation, because there's not really anything to do. As far as he goes, like I said, he's probably the best one. Turn him around, he just blatantly has the wings on his back, but that's fine. Kind of looks like a cape, which is cool. Look at his head. He doesn't have painted eyes. His face is painted gray, though. And he does have this intriguing gun, which I like to think of as like an air type of shotgun. If you've ever played Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, I'm thinking like the TAC from that game. You know what I'm talking about? That like shotgun is like air. That's what I'm thinking. Something like that with this, but it's double barrel, and it's kind of cool. And they do peg onto his arm, and each arm has a port on it. Only one of them can actually hold stuff in their hands, and that is Heavy Tread, we're going to take a look at next. But, I mean, as far as it goes, I mean, he's just decent enough, honestly. That's how to put him. He's decent enough. Heavy Tread, who's the most mediocre one of the group. He does look kind of cool. He has, like, this monocle, and it kind of leads me to believe he's, like, the sniper with this giant rifle, which is kind of cool. I do like that. As far as articulation, like I said, he doesn't have knees. That's his only difference. Also, you can look up and down because his head is on a ball joint for reasons. And, I mean, he does look decent enough. And you can remove the tank turret if you want. He then looks like that. You can't really tell what he's going to turn into because there's no hints. Unlike the other two. He's decent enough. Same thing, gray face, no paint for the eyes or anything. He's just kind of a guy existing, you know? Looks like they have little blotches of yellow on them. And then finally we have Wind Shear, who's the worst one. And not because of, like, design. I actually think Wind Shear looks the best, honestly. And she's pretty alright. And yes, it's a she. So there's two dudes and a girl in this team, and they are a combiner. So it's one of them, it's a multi-gender combiner. As far as she goes, she can stand really well because she has a third leg in that little tail for the helicopter. But her issue is her chest piece. And this isn't just a me problem. This thing comes off extremely easy. And I mean extreme. Like, the amount of effort that it took to get that off is horrifying. Like, look at that. It's horrifying. It takes nothing. Like, look how floppy that is. It has such a bad connection. Her weapon is this little minigun. Looks pretty cool. She can't hold it, though, sadly. But it does look decent, and it pegs onto her arm. I do actually really like this design. I think it looks good, actually. Like I said, I think it's the best Minicon design here. That's the robot modes. So let's get into the transformations. And then when we do the transformations, before we get into the combination, we're going to show them on Starscream. So to start with the runway. Runway's transformation, pretty simple. Flip up the chest, like so. And then take his legs, flip them in, like so. And then come to the back. And this will peg onto that peg there. Just slot in the back of the gun. And then you can peg his arms on, like so. And there's his alt mode. Heavy tread, even more simple. Fold the arms in, peg the arm then onto the turret. Flip those sections back, and then flip his feet down. And there's Heavy Tread's alt mode. And for wind shear, she has the most complex one, and it's not even complex, because of course it's not. And she does also have an issue, though, which is this doesn't always like to peg in. Slightly problematic, but not the most problematic thing ever. My cat might jump up. Just have to warn, so if there is a bad edit, you know why. So yeah, you basically do that, and then I like to peg the gun in on the back like that. And there are the 3 alternate forms. And the alt forms are pretty alright, you know? They're decent enough. It's trying to focus. There's 3 of them, and it's trying to focus on them. There we go. It's focusing. It's focusing. So, taking a look at runway first. He turns this nice little jet mode. And it's a really nice jet until you turn it over. He's a little guy. I'm not going to get too mad that his head's right there, and his arms are right there, and his legs are right there. He barely transforms. He transforms in like 2 steps. It's not even a joke. He literally does. Like, you don't do anything to get him here. And he does look good in the jet mode, which is even more shocking. I kind of like how the gun turns into, like, big thrusters, but even if you don't have the gun, it's fine. So that's awesome. So it's kind of like it's just an add-on, which is cool. And he does have the yellow cockpit and a bit of yellow on the back. And there is a Minicon logo, so I didn't really display that, but they're there. There's one. Then we have Heavy Tread, who also has a Minicon logo, but it's on his arm there. And I mean, yeah, this thing's a tank, all right. Nothing you can do with the barrel. There's nothing. It does nothing. It's static. He's a completely static guy. He can roll. His little faux wheels. And that's really it. Green paint on the treads. Bit of yellow. Barrel on the tank's green. That's it. And wind shear, who, again, has the chest problem, which sometimes doesn't like to peg in. And when it doesn't, you have to make sure that the combiner head is situated properly so it has enough to be held upward, or you need to push it back off of the hinge bit it's on in order for it to stay in place. Alt mode-wise, she's just curled up into a ball with the chest piece flipped forward because, yep, there's her arms. But from the front, it doesn't look bad. You turn the sides, like, oh, hands, legs, you name it. Turn around, yep, hands and legs. Yeah, I'm not going to complain too much about these guys, you know, being a little iffy, because it's just in their nature. They're mini-cons. I'm not being mad about them looking like this. I can't be. Anyway, so like I said we were going to do, let's bring in Starscream. So can you arm Starscream with these? Yes, you can. Of course you can. They're mini-cons. So I like to put Runway on an arm there, and he has like a little shotgun weapon, of course, but it's a jet. And for her, I like to give him the gun in his hand, so it's like underhanded. And then the Minicon port for her is technically on the cockpit area, but I hate using it. So I actually just kind of stick the arm into the peg that I usually put the other bit on. His arm's just kind of stuck bent now, but that's usually what I do. And Heavy Tread's got to be the worst. There's not really much you can do with Heavy Tread, if you want the truth. Heavy Treads is just kind of fold them out a bit and then try to get his arms pegged onto the back. That's it. That's all you can really do with them. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's usually you can only get the one hand on him. On his back. Where you gotta like fold it in a weird way. And there is Starscream like that. And then you're left with this bit, which he could technically hold. Or you can, you know, stick it on here. Like that. And there is a Minicon Starscream. That's what I do with it. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can stick them on. They're there. It's not a crazy feature, but it's Minicons. They have to do it somehow. And there was an Armada guy. You knew it was happening. You have to do it with the G-axis as well, because it's just a remold of Starscream. So, now we're just gonna, might as well just transform him back. He's basically there already. So, the other two can stay in their alt forms. Also, there's Windshear's cockpit. I heard it fall off, so I kind of expected it. Alright, so we're going to take the accessories off all these guys, and I'm going to start the combination sequence. So we're just going to do the gun first. So for the gun, take Heavy Tread's turret, flip it over, and then peg on the gun, Runway's gun to the bottom, and then take Windshear's and put it on the top port. And there you go. That's the combiner gun. Looks kind of stupid, but hey, what are you going to do? Now, to get the combiner started, take Heavy Tread, fold his arms in, rotate them around, and then split them in two. Legs. That's it. That's all you do for the legs. Really simple. Runway is also pretty simple. Come to the legs and then pull them out, and then they'll click. You'll hear a click when they're in place. Now, one bit that is annoying is the shoulders do peg in. There is a slot right there. There's a peg on the back of the crotch right there. And they don't peg in very well because they're too shallow. So there's not really a good peg. And then you take his head and it just pegs in to the crotch section. So there's that. Fold the arms forward. Then you can come to the Runway's legs that are now arms. There you go. You have fists. And then you have Windshear, who handles the upper torso and head duty. So you're going to come to the arms, flip them out. You're also going to do the same thing for the legs, and there goes the cockpit. Like I said, hasn't fallen off very many times in this review, but I mean, earlier today, I could not get it to stay on for like 5 minutes. It was nuts. I was fiddling with it until I figured out I got to push it back to keep it on in the alt mode. Anyway, so now that that's handled, come to the rotors, collapse them. There that goes again. Oh my god. It just is a bad design. They should have pinned it. It should have had a pin. It just should have. And it just doesn't. So it doesn't stay. Push on the Minicon symbol and flip out the head. Then flip the rotor blades back down. You can then take the arms. Now there's two sets of pegs on the side. These ones here are for the alt mode. These ones here are for the robot mode. Or for the combined form. So the combined form ones go up on an angle. Just a little bit of an angle. And you're just going to leave the back as is for the moment. It does fold down into place. And you're just going to push that back, and that's going to keep it in place. So once that's done, you take the peg that I pegged into the Starscream's arm, and that goes on the back. And the nose cone of Runway, fold it forward a bit. And then you take it, and you try to peg it in. Take the nose cone. If the cockpit breaks out, just put the cockpit on the nose cone and then push it back. And that usually fixes the problem pretty easily. Come to the back, take the tail, flip it down. It'll peg into the back. And then take the legs and just kind of scrunch them up next to it. And then you can try to fix up the arms. And then peg in the hands, the gun in the hands. And there is Centurion's combined form. And yes, it's called Centurion. I never thought it was. I always thought I just got the name from MGo's review, but I looked up TF Wiki so I could figure out the names. I knew the names, but I wasn't sure on Runway. I was calling him Runway, but I didn't know if his name was actually Runway. Somehow I remembered Windshear and Heavy Tread, but not Runway for some reason. And I usually always forgot Windshear's name. And this guy's pretty alright. I mean, he's a deluxe class, you know? He doesn't have head articulation or a waist swivel, but he does have a ball joint in the shoulder. Put him back, outward, and elbow. No swivel, sadly. Like I said, no waist. Forward and back. No out, really. You can move these out of the way to get a knee bend. That's not very good. So he's not really articulate. He's more of a gimmicky toy than anything. And the combine mode does look like a combiner. Because if you look at it, it's like, yeah, he clearly got a jet cockpit for a stomach, and then he got on his chest a helicopter cockpit, and there's wind blades. There's propellers above his head. It's an intriguing looking combination mode. I'm not gonna lie, it's intriguing. Turning it around, though, it's actually quite clean. Like, it's really clean because of how the wings work. So it just ends up looking really clean back there. And even the backpack is clean. It just folds down, pegs in, and then the legs fold up next to it. It's like, oh, it's clean. These aren't even egregious back here, which is nuts. Like, none of this is egregious. It's great. This is a genuinely, like, decent-looking toy, but it is a bit small-looking next to, say, another deluxe. Oop. Looking at it, it feels a bit tiny, doesn't it? It really, like, look at the head size. Even height-wise, it's around the same height, but it just feels too skinny and tiny. It feels like it's supposed to be, like, in a line of Legends class guys, and then it's a combiner. That's what it feels like. But in this case, it's a deluxe class figure in a line of deluxe and Voyagers and leaders and stuff like that. And it's like, he just feels tiny. And he's not that tiny. I mean, detailing-wise, it's pretty much just the same stuff, but in different spots. There's not much to talk about with them. So let's just get to my thoughts on them. I'm just going to leave them like this because that's how I kind of put them back. So my thoughts on Centurion and the mini console team. I think they're decent. They're all right. If you could ever find a set, I would say get them just so you can have some more modern mini-cons, because I don't think we're getting any, unless they decide to drop some in Legacy Evolution or anything else. This one's fine. It's fine. It's a good enough figure with no big issues. I mean, the figures and the little guys themselves, I can't really grade them too heavy. Because they're little guys. They're doing like 15 different things. They have to be combiner parts. They have to be alt modes and robots. They have 3 things to do, and they're only little. There's not much you can do about it. That's just how they are. So I can't grade them. But as a combiner in itself, it's not that great. It's like a 2, honestly. It's a 2. It's all right. It's not good. But yeah, it's a 2 out of 5. This has been my review on the mini console team. This has been Eilt, Eilt Elite, signing out.